Okay. Well, we're live on a Saturday afternoon with a band I've been working on getting on seriously just within the last couple of weeks, talking with Dale, one of the guitarists in the band. And finally, I could say that they're here and they've got a revitalized lineup with a new frontman that I'm excited to get to know and hear his story and how it came about that he found himself in my guest, which is Face the Day. Excited you guys are finally here. We were talking about before we went live that you guys are feeling good. Your days have been well. Battling some bouts of stuff at home with sicknesses and stuff and kicking that in the ass. Yeah, I'm excited. How are you guys again? So the fans know.
Doing awesome, man. Doing awesome.
Good.
Yeah,
Well, like I said,
the good end of the sicknesses now. So
yeah, man, it sucks being sick. You can't do anything. I had to cancel like 3 shows of my podcast back to back when I was sick because I couldn't talk.
Yeah, I almost didn't come on the show today because of this cough I got. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
so I'm gonna try to fight through it. So.
hey, it's all right, man. If you got to take a minute and get some water or a cough drop, you do that. It's all good. But I'm glad you guys are finally here. I've got hopefully some really cool things to cover with you guys that you'll like talking about. I would like to know just right out the gate some of the history of the band. What was the beginning for Face the Day? What was that?
Chris, I'll let you handle it.
Well, I mean, really, I guess Dale and Tony is what helped construct it. They got a hold of me, and they were just jamming for fun. They had a prior project called Lethian that
Right.
disbanded. They were just doing some stuff for fun, and we got together, like doing Kill Switch Engage covers, actually, and just like, and it turned into this. The next thing we knew, we were writing a couple of songs, and then we started looking a frontman, which we did come across. There was a former vocalist with us prior to where we're at now.
Oh yeah,
Andrew Ray popping in. But yeah, I mean, I guess that really it boils down to like Dale and Tony getting a hold of me and like, it slowly turned into writing songs and then looking for someone when we had no intention to do that. In the beginning, like, let's hang out and make some noise. So really, that's where that took off, man. That's where all this, a phone call from these two.
Dale got a hold of me. I hadn't been in a band in like years, and I was like, I don't know. Then I was like, yeah, I've always wanted to jam with Chris. Never really jammed with Tony and me.
And I've known Chris since like I've known Chris since like 2009, and I hadn't seen him in several years. Is that correct, Chris?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Mm-hmm.
And then the funny part of the story is, without any one of us knowing anything about it, he starts talking to my wife's best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And then my wife's best friend, of course, it's like, hey, I need y'all to meet this new guy I've been talking to. And come to find out it was Chris.
I've known Dale since before I graduated high school. Almost half my life I've known Dale.
Tone deaf? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, I need to know how the band got formed. So thanks, guys.
Yeah. I didn't know either, so I needed to know too.
Yeah, me and Tony have been jamming together since like 09 or 2010, something like that, Tony. I don't even remember when it was.
It's been about 10 years.
Yeah.
That feels like a lifetime ago, I bet.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, go ahead.
Like, even with Dale, we played many shows together throughout the years in various other bands, and it was those things that it was cool to finally get together and jam. Like even when they called me up, it was like, yeah, man, we've always wanted to do this and never did because everyone would be busy or tied in with other things.
Right.
So it was kind of inspiring at the same time too.
I can imagine, and this is a kind of like a later question, but it could tie into it all. What would you say the bond of the band is like? With you guys knowing some of you for years and years, and like how's it feel for Face of the Day present day between all the guys and with Shannon coming into the mix?
I mean, honestly, we get along really good. I mean, camaraderie is really strong in this band. We all cut each other up, but we're all buddies. Like we just kind of on the same pathway. Even Shannon, like we go back probably about 25 years together. I met him when I was I was still a drummer. And this is like in like 2000, and that's where him and we met through shows. We played a ton of shows together in our earlier years, and so I've kind of known him throughout the chain, throughout the vine, since we started playing out together. So to bring him in, one of the things when I introduced the idea of Shannon to the guys is like, one thing I can say about him is I know he's a cool ass dude. I know what he's capable of. Like I've been around him for 40 of my life. So upon him coming out, like one thing we noticed, all clicked like right away. Everybody was able to talk and shoot the breeze. As far as I know, they're not lying to me.
No, and that connection with Marple made it a comfortable transition for me as well. I love this band before I joined the band, and I was the one watching them because I love the local music scene. I'm a big supporter. Like there's bands like Stonecutters, Everbloom, Submariner. There's just a lot of bands in this music scene.
You gotta support your local scene.
Yeah, you got to support the local scene. That's what I was a fan of Face the Day, with Lucas, and I think Lucas is very talented. And I think he was a great frontman. And I was a fan of them then. But when the opportunity came up and they were looking for a singer, it was entertaining the idea of getting back into the game. I was, been reconnecting with everybody for a while, and it was just a good opportunity for me because of that relationship with Marple for 25 years. The first band shirt I've ever wore on a stage back in like 2000 or 99 was an Execrate shirt. And he was the drummer. And the singer for that band now is in another local group called Devil's Cut.
I think I know that name.
And, they're doing big things now too. So it's just a cool connection. Yeah. It's a local, it has been tight for a long time. But yeah, that's me and Mark's kind of relationship there and how it kind of ties.
Well, hell yeah! What could you add to all that, Tony?
Just kind of networking with all the musicians in the area. Everybody knows everybody. So this is how I got tied in with Dale. And then next thing you know, we're doing Lethean, and then Lethean's networking with everyone within Louisville, and yeah, so I just kind of been stuck with Dale this whole time.
Can't get rid of him.
No, he's like a wart.
He's like a wart.
Well, hey,
yeah, but it's a good. I love the camaraderie we've had. Like, yeah, it's just cool. I think we're all on the same page. We're all like dudes that, I think first and foremost having fun. Right, being, writing good stuff that we like, having fun doing it. And, it's just, we're all on the same page. It feels really good right now. Things are starting to roll, move forward. We're coming out of winter, the sicknesses, the surgeries. And, I think it's just an exciting time.
I can't wait, man. I've been anticipating the new jams for, a while, along with a lot of the other fans. And I'm really excited to hear what you guys have been cooking up and hearing, through my speakers and if there's music videos that you guys plan as well, just hearing and seeing that visually, the fruits of your labor, because I know that you're all just fit to be tied to finally just get something out there after all this time. And I feel like that's really close on the horizon now. And, I'm really excited. And tying into that, I want to ask you guys how present day Face the Day, as far as the music goes, more of an in-depth look of what it's like writing now with the music. What's the process?
I would say most of the time it's me or Chris come up with a guitar riff, to start the thing out. And sometimes we a lot of the times we get into the jam room, practice room, and like, check out this riff, or Chris will, and we just kind of collaborate together. That's pretty much how we do our writing.
Yeah, a lot of like, I don't really call it pre-production, but I guess you could, like Dale's saying that like we'll work on things either together, my place, his place, or we'll sit at home and just plug in and throw drums and track an idea, present it to the guys, and we'll like build off of that like as we go. So I guess you could say we try to come to the table with something. Like the days of just sitting there in the room and being like, all right, who's got what? You know, that makes it so much more difficult. Like if you at least got a foundation, keep it. It allows those wheels to get spinning right away on things. But Dale and I, we seem to click very well together. You know, it can be odd with, you know, two guitar players sometimes, but like we're always thinking right on the other side of like where each other's going to be. Really cool. Yeah, I think that's going to be showcased in our new music as well too, because the guitar parts kind of feed off each other with the vocals. Just a lot of like left and right, as I call it, but also mix, if it makes sense. You know, like I'm
hoping. I'm hoping I hear some harmonizing guitar parts in the new music. I love hearing stuff like that.
Me and Chris were just talking about that the other day.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of that, for like the stuff back in the 80s from, you know, a lot of those bands, and into the 90s. It's just not as common these days, you know, and I miss that stuff.
I took the little teaser clip of some maybe possible harmonies going in one of these new songs. I don't know if you caught that or not in the Crystal Lake advertisement. Kind of snuck it in at the end of the video. So we'll see. We're entertaining some new stuff, man. I don't want to give in too much away. The gears are spinning hard on this one. We really want to put out something that we're all very proud of. And we've really spent the last year, you know, busting chops to get where we are now. So it's going to be cool to unleash it finally.
Yeah, I'm really eager for it, man. I'm the kind of mind where even when a band puts out a new album, like the day of, I listen to it, I digest it. By the time that last song's finished, I'm already thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, where are these guys going to go next? I need to hear what's next. You know, like, I don't know why my mind is like that, but I always have to have something new. I go back and listen to old stuff all the time, but I always want the next chapter. You know, I'm looking, always searching. I want to know, like, for individually, I would imagine you guys don't all listen to like the same kinds of music. I would think that there's some like dynamic variety in there. Like, for example, maybe one of you listens to pop music, and you kind of bring like, you know, hooks to the you know, the process or something like that.
That'd be Chris.
Yeah.
Dude, I love pop music.
Yeah.
I'm pretty diverse in the stuff that I really like, and you know, I have no shame in it. Like, I love old school hip hop, so I like flows of like B.I.G. I like Cannibal Corpse is one of my favorite bands of all time. I love everything about what they do. I love especially George Fisher. I like what he brought to 90s out chains. Born and raised on bluegrass. And I think that bluegrass music is what got me back to music. And what I tell people a lot of the time is I knew who Bill Monroe was before I knew who Led Zeppelin was. So you know, that's just raised on. And but then, like I said, I think probably what happened to all of us, we got that little taste of whatever. I think for me it was Metallica, and then Slayer, and then you're like, oh yeah, then Pantera, then Machine Head.
Oh yeah.
Then it just encompasses you. And so I think deep down we're all metalheads. And I think that's what we are, as metalheads. But our foundation and the fabric of that comes from a bunch of different directions. I know at least it does for me. A lot goes in here. But you asked how we may use right hook things. I do kind of reflect on some of those things. And I do like to listen to some of that old hip hop and stuff and hear how they weaved things in work. And, you know, I like to try to pull from it.
That's good shit.
You know?
You mentioned Machine Head. Yeah, you mentioned Machine Head, and they're one of my favorite bands of all time. This is a kind of a controversial subject when it comes to them. Their low periods were those two new metal albums they did. And, you know, the funny thing is people don't understand that those are two of their most diverse records, and in my opinion, two of their best records.
They entertained a lot of in the records too. They did something that no one was doing at the time. I always thought was cool. You know, I go back the Burning Red, I think this is the record, right, that I'm thinking of.
Yep.
You know, I was a big fan of that when it came out, and it got a toss up. But what appealed to me was just how different it was, and like kind of the risk they took in going that direction, you know. But they still accomplished it too. It was bizarre.
Hey, have you heard "Unbound," the new Machine Head song? Have you guys heard that?
Yes, I have. Yes,
yes. Love it, man. I'm glad.
I love it, but I love it, but I missed the lineup that they had up until why am I forgetting the album that they did? Well, like something Diamonds. It was in some Diamonds was in the title of it.
That's our historic
period. But that's my favorite lineup. Yes, yeah. I love that period, and I love the lineup they have now. But I miss the dynamic and the chemistry that the original lineup had between, you know, the Burning Red and the last album they all did together.
You're talking about Bloodstone and Diamonds.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's a great album too. You know, I gotta give that one credit. Give me a second. My kid went into the. Huh?
It's always interesting when bands make lineup changes, and you know, so it's always going to sound different. But yeah,
whether it works out or doesn't. Yeah, he went to the bathroom. I gotta go get him. One sec.
Face the Day. If you're tuning in right now, thank you so much for checking this out. We are Face the Day. We appreciate all you guys for checking this out. For Kentucky, yes.
April 11th, Bourbon Hall.
Who's doing some promotion?
Yes, I'm gonna be covering that too. Man, I tell you, my kid keeps me on my toes.
Man, that future of metal's alive.
Anyway, I'm going to be covering that April 11th show, by the way, here in a little bit into the interview, by the way. I want to know all about that. He tried to go into the restroom again. I closed that, buddy. All right, so we were talking about the music, what you guys bring to the table as far as like what you listen to individually and how that, you know, basically incorporates, I guess, into the bucket or the pan. So what do you guys like to cover when it comes to writing a song, though? You know, I mean, I'm sure there's, you know, life things that you guys like to write about, worldly things, like things you see and observe, how things affect you. What's it looking like as far as the new stuff in the direction that you guys are going with, you know, lyrics and, you know, stuff like that? What can you say about it?
I guess I'll take this one. Yeah, well, it's interesting. In my old band, I was pretty much societal driven, and it was like government. But, you know, 9/11 just happened, and there's all this stuff going on. So there's all kinds of rage to go in different directions. And it kind of became the identity. I didn't say the identity of the band, but we kind of found our niche for where we was going. With Face the Day, right, it's a lot more personal. You know, I'm writing a lot more about my own, you know, personal life and overcoming struggles. Maybe we'll catch up down the road sometime, and I'll kind of tell you about my story, maybe on the side. But
sure, absolutely, yeah.
Personally, I've been on my own mission of positivity, overcoming depression and things like that. So I'm on a mission, and being in this band's part of that. So a lot of my lyrics are about, you know, being down, but I try to also have some about coming out and like hate breedish in a way, but not hate breed style, but you know, there's positivity, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You know, I try to include that where before it was about just the darkness and this blah, blah, blah. But I do still kind of touch base on that. There's some societal references, you know, that I write about, and people kind of interpret those the way they do. Nothing political this time around, but, you know, I do have opinions on society and, you know, chasing, you know, dream that may not be attainable by 90% of us, but we believe it and we're constantly, you know, that's touch base. But this band's given me a chance to be way more personal and touch base on that. I lost my father a couple years ago. I haven't been in a band since that happened. Derek recently lost his, and so, you know, that's something, that's a song and lyric. I have a song about that, and me and Derek kind of can relate on that and just touch base on that, that struggle. So, yeah, this band's giving me an opportunity.
So you're going to make me cry then.
No.
Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, you maybe it's but it's all coming from a place of I like to think of myself as an optimistic guy that
right.
Even when I write about darkness, when I'm writing about it, it's internally it's coming from a place that I have come out of that. Like I'm past that. Where before I may have been writing about still being in it, and where a lot of lyricists are about being. I'm fortunate enough and blessed enough to be able to write about the darkness being in my past, but I also understand life is constantly a race of staying ahead of that, and maybe some of the lyrics touch base on that too. Constantly staying ahead of that depression, staying ahead of that stuff, and staying busy in the right ways too. So yeah, I try to be optimistic and just and
I mean, it's kind of hard to be optimistic, all the time. You find yourself down in those trenches of depression and dark spots in your life. I think everybody does. I don't know if it sounds like you probably agree with this, and I hope most of you do. That the stigma that surrounds a lot of heavy music, mostly like metal and death metal and things like that. That how angry it sounds, or things like that. I go to that music that's like real dark sounding and heavy, like Whitechapel or something like that, where someone might think that that'll put me even further down in those trenches. It lifts me up out of the trenches, even if it's a song about something really dark, because it's cathartic. So I'm really big on the mental health stuff, and so I loved hearing that you're on that journey too of positivity and writing about it and being open. That's really something that I attach to pretty heavily. So I love hearing that.
Yeah, well, that's cool, man. And I think there was a stigma when I was younger and in false. Maybe I didn't touch base on those things because I thought it was cheesy to sing about feelings, or
it wasn't cool.
It wasn't cool, and
or
maybe I wasn't ready to open up to, maybe I just wasn't ready and I just wasn't feeling it. But whatever this band invokes in me with their music, and I recognized that when I first saw them, and I got to see them a couple times, and I really recognized that when I was going through the auditions and stuff, and Dale was sending me songs, and I was sitting in my house kind of going through them. How am I going to audition the band? And the first couple of songs that came out, they were just so personal and so emotional to me. And there was something in the music that Face the Day writes. And I think maybe Lucas felt it too, because Lucas had a different set of, personal things he wrote about, like all vocalists do. But I know Lucas wrote from a very personal place as well. And I think it's something to say about this band and the way they write is there's emotion in the music, even without the words. So, I find it's the best kind of challenge as a vocalist to step up and match that. It's they make me have to step up to that next level, and I think Lucas stepped up to that next level, and now it's my job to step up to that next level. And so even some things I'm doing now with this band is I'm going to sing clean on some parts where I have no qualms doing that. Like you mentioned Whitechapel, come on, man. Whitechapel's one of the baddest bands on the planet. They just released one of the baddest metal albums that will come out in 25. Nobody's going to top it in the deathcore world. They came out with the baddest album, and they will sing about emotions. He'll sing about loss. He'll sing about that stuff. It's a lot. People are optimistic these days. People want a reason to be helped. Like you said, the world's there's so much going on. People want real. They want real emotion. They're tired of fabricated crap.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what Whitechapel. That's what we're.
I couldn't agree more. What could some of you other guys add to that?
I mean, I kind of come from the same place. Like, I went through a lot of challenges in my life, major up and downs. Like, so as far as musically, when I write riffs, like what Shannon said, there being a lot of emotional ties to the riffs. That's kind of what I think makes this band unique. I'll agree to that. Is like there is a lot of emotion in the music. melody within the riff before a vocal melody exists. And Dale and I kind of feed off each other. He writes kind of the same way. It's just his style, you know, like I'll show him something. Like I said, he can almost follow me before I'm done. He'll know where I'm going, which is very cool. So it allows the riffs, instead of being like not basic riffs, but a lot of the riffs will have a melody like undertone with the main. Like there'll be a lot of the songs, I guess the easiest way to put it, Dale and I are playing two different guitar pieces a lot. Very rarely will you look and see us playing the same structure together. And I think that's what helps create that vibe, that emotional vibe to it, is because of the layering technique we use when we write, because we portray that live, you know, where there are parts where we like get focused in a dominant area, you know, but most of the verse and chorus sections will almost always have an undertone coming from him or I, whether it's a little lead melody or a trailer, just, you know, the melodic undertones. I think it helps create that ambience that Shannon's talking about with the emotional vibe. And I think with how we do that, it allows us to share that, which is cool. It's not typical, I think, the way we try to write our riffs. Not that we're breaking the boundaries or nothing, but I think it's cool. It's what creates our sound.
Yep.
Right.
And Tony and Derek, like that. And we haven't even touched base on these two guys yet. but this is it's unbelievable. And you know, I've been blessed to play with great musicians in these two bands that I've been in. And Derek and Tony are so connected with the back end. It's unbelievable musicians. Unbelievable. And Derek is probably the shyest one in the group. So he may not speak up and he may not talk highly about himself, but I will do it. It's a fortunate thing that Face the Day has Derek on the drum kit.
I agree.
It's because it's not coming from one of those directions of like, I can do double bass, so that's what I'm gonna do the whole entire time.
Right.
But you know, he understands the maturity of writing.
Right. Let's settle this debate here and now. This is a question for Tony and Derek. What's the heartbeat of the band? The bassist or the drummer? Who sets the tone?
I'm a former bassist too, so I'll set this one out.
I don't know really, because me and Tony so much. Like we don't need nothing.
No, we could do our own. We could write our whole entire album of just Tony and Derek.
Yep.
That's true.
Right now.
What's that?
Sometimes we'll be in the practice room and they'll just go on a 6 or 8 minute just jam session, just them two, and we'll just sit there and listen to them. Yeah, he's telling the truth there.
If you think of like Promise, imagine just like a jam session with Claypool and their drummer. That'd be cool. It's cool. Yeah.
If only I could be a fly on the wall when that goes on.
It's fun.
Fly down. You can be. You're always welcome to Face the Day.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, I tell my wife all the time that one of these times I'm like, I'm gonna have to fly down and hang with some of these bands that I talk to so I could get an even more closer look at their process and maybe, you know, hear some secrets, you know, a secret to the secret sauce.
Yeah.
Dude, I would love that, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a lot to say when it comes to music myself. My wife tells me to shut up all the time because I would say, I don't know, between 80 and 95% of the time, what I'm bringing up is music related. You know, I just can't help it. I can't help myself. It's it's one of those things where it's kind of like a trauma response, right? I wrapped around music when I was like 5 years old due to, you know, various circumstances in my life. And it's been no looking back since then. And it's amazing that I've never done anything as far as music goes, like, you know, like making my own, you know what I mean? But the podcast gives me that outlet to talk to bands that I listen to. So it's I can be long-winded sometimes, and it's only because of all the stuff I have going on in my head. Like, you know, I only wrote down a certain amount of questions for you guys, but I practice restraint because if I didn't, there'd probably be 100 questions on here. You know,
So
attention spans these days for people. Huh?
You get us, and we don't.
Me and Mark will go all day.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say you got two guys in the band that would answer all 100 of them.
Yeah, that would be a 4-hour podcast
Yeah.
episode. And given the fact I don't edit anything, yeah. I mean, hey, it would be fun, but that would be a marathon.
Be a document.
So have we covered basically I sent the questions to Chris, and one of them on here I have is, what would you say Face the Day stands for? I've got a really good idea, and you've been basically covering it throughout the podcast, you know, in little bits and pieces. But to really solidify what Face of the Day stands for, what would you want to tell the viewers is behind the name? Because I haven't asked you how the name was come up with yet, you know, and what it stands for exactly. So I want to kind of hone in on that and give a more solid answer, a more in-depth answer to that.
The name comes from, like, Derek suggested the name. It was a song title, actually.
Man, that's cool.
But as we thought about it, because we had a few different names on the table. At one point, we were on the brink of calling ourselves September Theory. Like, we had a few different things, like in the wheelhouse, if you'd want to call it. But when he mentioned that name, and we thought about, even at the time, how writing, like I said, we're a brutal yet beautiful style of writing. There's a lot of emotion involved in it, good and bad. And we thought one thing that ties to that name is inner strength. People that have to get up and fight those battles. The one thing you have to do if you want to survive or get out is wake up and face it. As cheesy as that is, but it's the truth. Like, it's the only way to get through, and it's something we all have to do.
I love it.
Every day. So that it is. It's a tie to, like, inner strength and knowing that you can get what you're in, no matter how bad the situation is. That's what I would say. You know, if any of the guys want to follow up, but that's how I tie it myself personally to that name.
That's exactly what I would have said too. So,
yeah, no, I love that. You know, that's what I get from the name too. Every day you open your eyes after you sleep, you got to face your day. You know, every day is a fight. You know, an uphill climb, and I think it's a perfect reflection for the band, for the meaning.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
and even with I'm sorry, Will.
Go ahead.
Even with Shannon's vocals, even with Shannon's vocals or his lyrics, I should say, it kind of ties into the name as well with the stuff he's been writing about.
That's just keep getting more excited. Just keep getting more excited.
The goal is that connection, you know what I'm saying? And I think when the people that really lock in and read the lyrical content and feel the music and understand the name and what we're trying to represent, that's my goal with the name. Our sound is that connection, man, to let people know we're just like everybody, you know. Not that no one else is, but seriously, we're all fighting the same battles, and you know, help people know that there's a light is always good, you know, because not everybody wants to seek that. They try to give up, and you know, that's one thing we stand tall on is not ever give up, man. But we're hard ones to take down.
Yeah, I'll die on that hill. Like I said, we'll connect offline at some point, and we'll catch up more on me, and I'd like to know more about you as well.
I would love that.
You know, so I think we probably. But yeah, and that's my last few years has just been that mission. So almost felt like it was meant to be in a band called Face the Day, because I've been preaching that on my Facebook. I've just been trying to provide hope, optimism. Just people's been watching my turnaround, physical, mental health. You know, I've had a group of supporters that's been supporting me during this, and I've been sharing and very honest the whole way. I've been very honest, but you know, and I, like Mark said, it can sound kind of corny, but you know, I'm cool with it. Every day, personally, I've had to wake up and, you know, I've looked at it like this is another challenge. It's another day. I need to win. Like I was saying earlier, I need to stay ahead of the bad stuff. And the only way to do that is to wake up, to face it, to put on a smile, grind, work, you know, just work hard at having a better life, because it's not easy. You can't just, you have to work at it. And that's part of facing the day to me going out there and applying yourself to be better and to be happier,
Yeah. What do you think of this? I got this from what you just told me, is that if you don't fight for your life, what do you expect to get from it?
Yeah.
Exactly. I think about that a lot when I'm sorry, I breathe up all the air. I talk a lot, but coming from somebody that's writing the lyrics about a lot of stuff is I think about that a lot when I'm looking like on social media and stuff, and all these people are ranting about everything on earth, but they're not. I'm not saying it's their problem, but they're not really applying it to themselves. Right. They're not working on them better themselves. One thing I can say from my personal perspective is once I stopped really caring about the outside noise, and I've started just focusing on fixing all of my broken elements, I've realized that I'm a broken project that can be for eternity. So I don't need to be worried about other people's stuff. There's always something to work on. And I wish more people had that approach at just being self-honest and self-aware. And because it does come from a place of optimism and hope. I think that's the first thing you have to do to overcome things. And so I've been fortunate enough to do that, but I think a lot of people on social media don't. And so I wish they would. I wish they'd start working on themselves a little bit more than hoping they get fixed elsewhere. I've become a lot happier myself from doing it that way.
I mean, it does start with you when it comes to being the change that you want to see, be an example of it, and walk by it, practice what you preach, just be the example, because I agree with you. There's a lot of people on my personal page that they will go on and they'll complain about aspects of their life. And my first question to them usually, if they reach out to me personally, is like, well, besides, complaining about your situation, what have you done actively to change it? And almost 100% of the time they say, well, nothing. And I'm just venting. I'm like, well, venting's fine. Getting it out's fine. But you're going to find yourself in a circle that's vicious if you're not actually doing something to deviate from that pattern that you're stuck in. You can't expect change without putting in the work, and you're never done with yourself. There's no such thing as being done working on yourself.
100%. And, and like I was going to say, I didn't mean to cut you off, but sometimes, there is mental health issues. And sometimes that first part of that change is maybe reaching out to a professional and saying, I don't feel right. I don't even have it in me to make changes for the better. I don't have it in me. And sometimes that is the first step. That was the first step for me. And I have no shame in that as well. I had to reach out and say, hey, things aren't looking well for me. Help me get on the right track. And once I did that, I realized that if I'm reaching out for that help, I need to put the pedal to the metal. And if I'm going to ask for the help, I need to apply it. That changed my life. That changed my life better. So sometimes there's that aspect too. Sometimes that first part of that change is accepting the fact that you can't do it yourself and asking for help. So that's me on my soapbox.
You gotta ask for help sometimes. No worries. I get on my own soapbox every day. But I love that. I love hearing that. It's nice hearing, when bands don't shy away from being vulnerable, through their music, and they're also vulnerable away from their music, because we all know that whole acting macho and tough all the time is usually just a front, for people that are hurting inside. So I've always supported that the music that speaks about it, because it has a purpose and it's meant to heal, and it's meant to kind of give a little bit of a guideline, I guess I would say, to maybe getting on the right path, positive music. So I'm really excited to hear that in the music when you're finally getting that put out, because stuff like that, I need that in my life major. I'm always wanting to try and be positive. My wife is irritated to no end because she says it's like nothing gets to me. She says that I'm always positive, and it's like just to get a little bit of like an insight of my background. Well, I went through hell with my dad when I was a kid. That was a hellish period of my life for me and my brothers and my mom. Got out of it, thank God. And I told myself when I was little, I am going to be a force of positivity. Doesn't mean I'm not going to ever get angry. Doesn't mean I'm not going to be bothered. But I'd rather be positive and face a problem with positivity than be what I knew when I was a kid. You know what I mean? So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, my kids made me lose my train of thought. He's bouncing on the counter, but he's all right. Anything that you guys want to add to what Shannon's been saying? Huh?
I was just going to say congratulations on being able to come out of it with that mindset. Not everybody's able to manifest positivity from darkness. So, man, congratulations. I like to hear that. That's
Thank you.
Helps smile.
Thank you.
Positive.
Is that Dale?
Dale, what are you drinking over there? And when you said it's there's that fake macho thing, Tony isn't faking it. let me throw that in there.
Dale's just drinking Canada Dry because I'm still sick.
That's all right.
I drink that quite often myself.
Yep, just drinking a good old ginger ale, man. That's it.
My wife doesn't understand how I could drink that stuff. She's like, why would you want to drink something that tastes like ginger? And I'm like, I mean, it's basically kind of like 7-Up or Sprite, though. It's a pretty similar taste. It's different, but, you know. So next on the things I wanted to talk about is I wanted to bring up the show on April 11th with Crystal Lake and Until the Dead Walk.
Yeah.
And there's another band on there.
Yeah, let's talk about
called Misery. And I'll let them speak about the show. I have some opinions on it. I talk about everything, so I'll let them speak.
Looking forward to it. I mean, it's going to be our, obviously our debut show back, featuring our new vocalist. So we're excited to show everybody all the hard work that we put in the last, 5 or 6 months, probably something like that, and do this thing again, represent who we are. And, it's a fresh start for us. Like, we're not trying to look back on the past as anything in a bad way, but this, for us to get the national show, like the Crystal Lake's a pretty cool band, man. I didn't know much about them until we were presented an offer and looked them up. And not only are they coming from Japan, which is pretty rad, the dudes can play. They're badass. I'm really excited to get to share the stage with those guys, and I think that in its own awesome opportunity to have first show back. So I'm very excited to see what comes after this, because we're going to follow it up with hopefully at least a single release. We do have most of everything tracked for the new album. We're working to get the vocals together for that now, but that will be soon to follow, hopefully. But yeah, what do you guys think?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Terry Harper. I'm going to give props to Terry Harper. This show is Terry Harper Presents. If you don't know Terry Harper, he's a big promoter around here for about 25 years. If I'm creating a Mount Rushmore for Louisville metal, Terry Harper is one of the first faces on this thing. So we owe it to him for booking us this show. My first show in False I ever played, Terry Harper booked. He was 16 years old. So like now we have festivals like Louder Than Life, that is the biggest metal festival in the country. That would not happen if Terry Harper wasn't booking local metal bands back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And then when he started making that money, he was a business guy and started bringing bands like Lamb of God on their way up. He was bringing Cannibal Corpse, Hatebreed, and more. So he's bringing in these heavy bands that were doing like spot shows on their tour, but he was letting local bands open for these shows. He was giving us the opportunity of a lifetime. And Terry Harper booked this show for us. So, I know you're not here local, but I have nothing but high praise to say for Terry. He's the hardest working promoter in the business. He's the reason Louisville metal has flourished for all this time.
Yeah, he's a key icon.
He's the man. He's booked this show for us. We owe a lot of my music to Terry Harper. So Terry, if you do watch this, we love you. Thank you. And I'll give it to Terry. But I'll speak about the other bands on the show. I don't know Until the Dead Walk, but I will say I'm excited. The opening band is Misery Machina. I saw them about a year ago at a local awesome place called the Mag Bar, and they're like a death metal band, but they didn't have a drummer, so they had a drum machine, and it was cool. But I think this is their first show with a drummer, so congratulations to them guys. I think they're going to have a big moment like Face the Day is at this show, debuting a new member. So look forward to seeing them. So I want to give them their props as well.
Until the Dead Walk, I look forward to playing with those guys too. They had some hype going on. I don't know if you're familiar with Chelsea Grin, but I know their drummer Pablo had done some like recording sessions with them. I think tracked some drums on some of their stuff. So I think those guys have some exciting things in the work too. So that's what's going to be cool about all this. I think everybody's got like all this new shit about to explode. It's like a lotus flower about to bloom, and there's a lot of new life about to come out like right as spring hits, which is really cool. That's kind of why I said I'm excited we get to celebrate it on this show.
That's gonna be fun.
Guys. Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm excited for you guys. I think it's going to rip. You guys are going to slay on that stage, and people are going to be reminded of the force that Face the Day is. And I think it's going to open a lot of doors for you guys, and I'm really hoping that that's the outcome too.
Thanks, Will.
Yeah, us too, man.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah. I mean, and talking about a guy like Terry that's done all this amazing thing for the scene. What do you guys think about all these bands that have been away for a while, either hiatus or defunct or broken up? Just being back, we've got, Spine Shank has decided to come back recently, and they're going to be doing a tour with the Union Underground, and like there's all these bands that I grew up listening to that are coming back, that were like big in like, new metal scene, like the alternative metal scenes and just stuff like that. It's like there's this new life that's getting breathed into, for the longest time, Flaw was even, away and not really doing much. And, as we all know, Flaw's back, and they, you guys are doing stuff, albums on the way, tours and stuff. Do you guys feel like that the new life that's being given to, these bands from back in that day is a good sign for the health of the metal scene in general? Just not talking about new metal or metalcore, just the whole metal scene as a whole. In my opinion, I see it as nothing but positive that these bands are basically getting a new life, and people are seeming to appreciate more that kind of music these days. But I want to hear your guys' take on that and the state of the industry.
In my opinion, I've been hearing for years and years and years, oh, metal's dead, or rock's dead. You hear that and you hear that and you hear that, and yet it never goes away. And like you said, all these bands that we have just recently seen coming back, Spine Shank, like you just said, and they just got booked at Louder Than Life, like Chris said, one of the biggest metal festivals in the country. It just goes to show you that it ain't going nowhere. And I think that's what all these bands are seeing. They're seeing that they may have gave up a little too soon, and they're coming back because we're still here.
Yeah,
I think
that's pretty well put.
I think it's cool because it gives opportunity for new listeners, like younger people.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing I can share. Like, not to touch base on like the Flaw stuff or anything, but like on the tour we're on, you see a variance of people. You have people that come up to tell you they've been listening since high school, and then as in the same conversation, they're standing there with their 12 and 13-year-old kid with two of their buddies that are there for the first time, soaking all that in. So I think there is like a type of like new life that's kind of allowed this to happen, because it's not only just a handful of bands. There's a lot of that have like came back out, and it's like they've I think it's a positive thing, man. And I think it's also a crave for something that doesn't exist anymore. There was something about that, like especially in that era of music, like the new metal stuff, that people either loved or hated. But I think that's where we are with music now. A lot of stuff is very almost predictable, and it ain't to hate on nobody. I love a lot of new bands, but like the sweetness of having like these handful of bands that all are cool but all sound very different from each other, that is getting few far in between. I think that's what people appreciate about some of the bands coming. Sound unheard to the ear anymore, and I think people dig that and miss it. I also think music's weird.
I agree.
It bends and changes, but I think people are ready for like some serious, real heartfelt like shit connection. Like I said earlier, I think people miss that, and I think that this is allowing it to happen. And like I said, you're seeing these people our age there with their kids now, and their kids are into it, and that's cool.
And I have a 15-year-old son, Dylan. I know you're watching this. He's an awesome musician. You know, he's 15. He plays out, but I see it happening. Like I take him to these music festivals. These young generations gravitating to the real music, the pure, the real music. Like I see him. He's rejecting the BS music that's coming out in his generation, and all they need is the exposure. Once they hear it, there's no looking back, and that's what I love about these bands coming back. And I'd also think, we're probably close. I'm probably not saying close to the same age. I'm older than you, I can tell. But when I was coming up, you had to go to Europe to these festivals to see a bunch of bands. Well, you don't anymore. You do that here. So there's spaces for all these bands to come back and maybe retest their value and say, hey man, let's get together in one more run in these, Danny Wimmer present shows, these louder than life type gigs. And if the fans respond, let's go record a new album. Let's see what we do. I like Shadows Falls coming back game. It's awesome. Like,
that's a big one.
There are venues now for these bands to play in front of thousands and thousands of people again. And as long as our kids see it, I believe in humans. I believe humans want authenticity. I believe they want real. I believe they want it. And so, like you said, it's nothing but a good for the music industry that these bands are coming back because our kids need it. And they need to hear real music because they're gonna make money and they deserve it.
Sorry, I was trying to have fun again.
But no, I'm with you on that. I love it.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. I get told to shut up a lot when I bring this up, but I was actually chewed out on some kind of thread on a Reddit. I don't remember which subreddit it was, but they were talking about the Grammys, and people were just going over the moon about Beyonce winning the country album of the whatever, and I said something to the effect that I said I'm not going to say that the woman isn't talented because she's talented. She's got an amazing voice, but she's riding the coattails of her success. And it's kind of one of those things where I've never had a whole lot of faith in things like the Grammys or anything like that being like super honest or, genuine to, people that watch it, that it's not some kind of popularity contest, So I'm like, good for her winning a country album of the year, but I could name like 10 albums that were way better by actual country musicians.
Oh, yeah.
She just won because of who she is.
Absolutely.
And she actually surprised when she won that.
Awards.
Yeah. So, that's my soapbox for that stuff, and I agree with you about it. I want the real music.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like needs the accolade. Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
it definitely takes from the realness of it because a lot of these like big artists, like you're just touched on, like with Beyonce or whatever, and the list could go on there. They capitalize from their success in multi-genre now. That's happening. It's like they jump over to 2 or 3 different genres, and they sell because of who they are. But then it gets people inducted into Rock and Roll Hall of Fames that might not be there over somebody that's truly worked their ass off the last 30 years.
But with that said,
and I won't name drop because I won't be that guy, but we all know what I'm talking about. Like, I think that affects that. And people they see past it. And there's a lot of us out here that feel that way, and I think that that's why it goes back to people want something real again. Like,
maybe people want a Face the Day country album.
Yeah.
I mean, given the fact that I know that it would be a genuine country album with things to say, I would listen to it.
Hey, we're from Kentucky. It's in our blood.
The only way they pull that out is doing something party. We'd have to have some metal in there. No. Actually, I haven't been become a fan of that guy, honestly. Like, the more I've listened to his stuff, that dude is he's got some skills for songwriting. That's definitely been an inspiration for me over the last few months. Because I don't listen to a whole lot of country, and he's not soul country, but a lot of the roots of his stuff are. With the mixture of country rock metal combination on some of his songs, is really just it's blowing me away. Of like, wow, who would have thought to like lay this out, and it all makes sense. That it's pretty inspiring. You know, it's cool. It's something new.
I actually I actually listened to Hardy here and there myself. I think he's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's different. It's
definitely
different take. It's cool to hear something a little. Yeah.
But that's what I like. I like when someone comes and shakes it up, you know, instead of sticking to some. I said this to a review of a friend's music where I said, I like the fact that he's being unconventional and that he's taken that claustrophobic box that like mainstream music likes to just stay in and he's blown it to splinters. And I want to see more of that where bands stop caring about being competitive with each other or winning those big awards or trying to sound like one another, because I think that takes away from the how honest the music is or how genuine, you know, the place that it's coming from is. I think that a band should always write first and foremost what they want to hear and not what's being played on the radio. You know what I mean? I believe that 100%.
I do too.
Yeah. So, I don't know how you other guys feel about that, but I have the feeling that you probably agree.
I agree.
Yeah, and that's good. That's good. Let's go on to talking about any kind of future shows that you guys are trying to get on and the potential of some kind of a tour. Can you talk about any of that?
Well, I think right now we don't have any other shows in the booking because we're trying to focus on finishing this album. We really need to focus on that. We probably wouldn't have taken that Crystal Lake show if it wasn't for what it was, you know.
Right.
And as far as touring goes, I'll let Chris explain that.
All right.
Yeah, so it's one of those things like with this outfit, if it's presented and options are good, we might entertain some stuff like that. If anything, it would probably be more in a circular area from where we are, focusing on like those somewhat Midwest, where we could get a few hours away. With this outfit, you know, some of the guys have got some really good jobs, and it's not as easy for some to step away and just be like, I got to bounce for 6 or 8 weeks and, you know, hold my place. So it would have things that are presented right to us. We do like to, you know, we'll openly entertain anything. And if it makes sense, sure, we would probably discuss making something happen. But primarily our main focus is, you know, probably close to just our regional area right here and trying to distribute music, social media, stay on top of all the marketing, things like that. Because we do want people out there to hear our music. But as far as like any legit tourings with Face Today, I don't know how soon that will happen or when it will or what it could entail. I guess it just will be presented, what offers are presented to us. I mean, for us to determine that with this outfit. But it's not, I wouldn't say it's not an app possibility, but it's not a primary focus. The big thing for us, you know, getting this record out and pushing it online. And who knows, that may lead to something. That may lead to label interest or a book and those type of things. Like if we start to promise guarantees or something and we're not all trying to live out of pocket and lose jobs, that could be entertained. Because it is tough out there on the road. You know, even with the flaw stuff, if it wasn't for our guarantees and the things that work for our outfit, it is very expensive to go out and hope for the best. You know, especially at our age. So, but I think getting the record out we'll speak for where we go from there, you know. But even if we play at home and just surrounding states, we're gonna hit it and crush it hard. I just you know, moving across to the West Coast or something might be something that's just future. Yeah. But yeah, if anybody else
you know, I'm just focused on the show right now. That's you know, that's once we got this opportunity from Terry, that it was like it's such a good opportunity for us to get out there and play in front of Crystal Lake and play with these other great local bands. You know, we're recording the album, we're tracking that, so that's, you know, one of the priorities. But getting the show and crushing it and having fun with the fans and I'm going to have a lot of people there that hasn't seen me perform in a while. So I'm looking forward to that. Just getting back on stage, and that is what I'm looking forward to the most. And, going from there, like I said, to focus on the album and seeing what's up. We love Terry Harper. I imagine when we start looking for next shows or what we want to do, we'll probably reach out to Terry, see if he has anything available, or tell him, kind of pitch to him what we have in mind. There's several bands locally that I know we all kind of like and we want to play with if we're doing kind of fantasy booking. So, so there's that too. There's opportunities. I know one thing is for sure, we don't want to kind of overplay ourselves.
Right.
So I don't think we're going to be that band that's playing every weekend. But yeah, we expect there to be more opportunities coming up. We've, especially like me and Mark, has been building some great relationships in this area for 25 years. And, with some venue owners and stuff like that. So there's places around for booking shows, and, getting that album playing locally, maybe hitting up some regional stuff like Mark said. We have some buddy bands in Eastern Kentucky, Knoxville, Tennessee, Evansville, Indiana, all places within a few hours from here that would be fun to do. And we're real close to Indianapolis. Like, just for people that don't know Louisville, Kentucky, we're within, I'd say, 5 hours of like Chicago, St. Louis, Indianapolis, Nashville, Knoxville, Huntington, West Virginia.
There's a lot of areas.
There's a lot of areas we can hit.
Yeah,
so when we say we may not do a full tour, that doesn't mean there's not a vast area we can hit. We're luckily in the middle of a lot of big cities that we can go.
And that's a blessing right there.
Centrally located.
Yeah. We can be 2.5 hours in Nashville, and we can be playing. If we get the right gig, we can be playing on the Strip in Nashville in 3 hours. So it's a blessing for sure.
Absolutely. Going to start wrapping up with a few more questions, and then I'll get you guys on your way to anything you need to get to. And by the way, I just want to say again that best of luck on the April 11th show. You're going to kill it. You're gonna kill it.
Thank you, brother.
No problem.
We will, man.
So let's do some rapid fire. I like to do this with my guests that I have on. They're not exactly music related, but they are in a sense too. First of which being, if you guys could choose like a food or a beverage or both to use to describe Face the Day, what would you pick?
Pork chop.
Pork chop?
Dale, it has to be steaks, man. New York strip. I think that would describe us.
It has to be steaks.
Definitely meaty.
Yeah. That sounds accurate as hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then next up, what would be what would be some of your guys' I don't know. I want to say things that people might not know about you that you're like, I guess something you're into that you're not real open about being into.
Tony, this will be interesting for you. Tony doesn't open up much. We're all going to learn something today.
He's thinking.
I think for me personally, I'm laid back. I look kind of more aggressive than I am. I'm 6'8". I lift weights. I'm bald. I'm really, I'm passionate about helping people. I like to get involved in youth sports. If I can help people in any way, I like to do it. I like to reach out and offer assistance without being asked. I like to try to manifest the life that I want the world to be like, and I want my son to be like. So that really my focus in life, probably like Derek, I did. So I want to be the example for him to be a great citizen. And to kind of go back, when I stepped away from false, that was the reason for it at that time was I had a kid. I didn't think the lifestyles could blend. He's my focus, and that's how I want to live now, according to him and what he can. But that's what people don't know about me. I really like that. Just a sweet, kind of big. Yeah. Eric, what about you? I don't know. I want to hear Tony. Tony, come on. You've had enough time. He likes to rain.
I'll tell you what I don't like.
Yeah, sure.
I hate yard work.
You hate
There you
artwork.
go.
I
Fair.
pay a guy. I pay a guy to come do my yard.
Yeah,
all about it.
mowing the lawn, pulling weeds. You know, I mean, I kind of
I'm
like
s-
mowing the lawn, but
Nope.
pulling weeds, no, not so much.
Nope, I'm all over it. Nope,
Yeah.
somebody
Oh, I
else
never
can do it. I'll pay somebody to do it. So there you go.
I'll take it. All right, who else?
Marvel
Who's
has
got
gonorrhea.
something?
I'm just kidding.
That's funny.
Oh man, I'm
That road
kidding.
life again.
Road life. It's been hard days on the road in Florida.
That's funny.
I love Mark. I'm just kidding.
No, I like. I mean, most people probably know this about me, but for those that don't know me on a personal level, I'm a big fan of cooking. Man, I like to cook, and that might come from how I like to create music. But I'm a big fan of cooking and like creating my own dishes and shit. I was actually a sous chef at one point in my life, in my late 20s, early 30s. So that's the thing. If
Yeah,
people
he's
don't
pretty
know
good at firing up that grill.
Yeah,
He is.
yeah, he is.
It's almost summertime.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's coming.
tis the season.
Hello.
What about you, Dale? Did you answer yet?
I'm pretty boring, to be honest with you. If I'm not playing music, I'm just spending time with my wife and my dog. That's about it. Chris will tell you that. I'm just kind of all about my dog. So
I love it.
yeah, that's really it. That's me.
I mean, that's me too. I work on cars.
I can
And
see
then
that
I got,
actually.
It's in my
Yeah.
blood. I got a newborn baby. He's about to be a year old in May. So
Awesome.
it's mainly work, take care of wife and kid, play music.
I relate to that. I relate to that a lot. My wife was a stay-at-home mom when we had our kid, and I was the only one holding down the fort with income at the time. That got tough, man. Like that got tough on a single income. But thankfully, we're both working now, and that part of it is good. But man, that point of like being up like every couple of hours to feed our newborn at the time, man, I'd heard stories about how that could be sometimes, like, you know, and it definitely got hard at some point, man, having no sleep or woo.
Yeah.
Yeah. You learn a lot about yourself.
You do. You really do.
Yeah.
It is.
So worth it.
It's a learning
It's worth
lesson. Even
it.
for I don't have any children of my own, but I do have. I'm playing step to a couple of teenage boys, and being around the last 4 years has taught me a lot about myself and learning with them. And it's definitely will change who you are and how you think about things. I've never got to experience like the stage or nothing like that with raising a kid, but you know, I know the exposure I have and how it's affected me, and it's a blessing, man. It will make you really think about, you know, life and decisions and all that stuff and so forth, you know.
Absolutely. I can speak to that 100%. I'm definitely not the same person I was 6 years ago, you know, that I am today. Completely different as far as how I think about certain things and stuff like that. So I definitely relate to that. But well, I mean, I'm going to just go ahead and start, you know, wrapping this up and just thanking you guys for taking the time. And like, I love that you guys finally got to come on, and I love that it's all of you, you know, like that's what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
And just get to know you guys, hearing your thoughts about your music and how you create, and, you know, opinions on, you know, the state of the music, you know, scene and all that, and just hearing about your backgrounds. You know, it's been a lot of fun, a lot of really insightful stuff there. There's a lot that I think for fans of the band that for us to look forward to. And it sounds like it's going to be soon that we hear some music, and I'm really excited for that. Just to circle back briefly, I read a post on the Face Today page that you covered it yourself, Shannon. You were a bassist and you were a screamer. I hope I hear the screaming too on the new music. on top of your amazing singing voice that I'm hearing about. I'm looking very forward to that.
It's a those parts in there in a big way. So
it's a blend of both styles.
Good.
And people are gonna dig about it is the blend of his vocal style with, like I said, our music earlier with how we write. They carry each other like a wave. It's cool, man. They feed off. I think people are gonna dig that about it.
I'm excited.
Hey, how about that? Yeah, I'll put the stamp on it right now. When we get our first single done, we're gonna get it to you when we get it, so you have the first crack at it, man.
Yeah, well, first set it, man.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's my commitment to you, brother.
And as payment for you guys, I will post a review up as well. How's that?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love it. 100% do that. In closing, what else would you guys like to add before I send you on your way?
Thanks for this.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. This second interview with you, which both have been well and smooth. I dig what you're trying to do and how you're behind.
Appreciate that.
We need guys like you, man. Without people like you, it's hard for our work to get out and people to find out about it. So I enjoy working with you, bro, and I look to do more in the future. I think it's going to be good stuff. And I'm excited to see where you go, man. I've followed it since our first meeting together. I've followed a lot of your stuff and the bands you continue to meet. You're growing as well as your own self. Yeah. And that's awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's definitely been a journey, and I definitely see the fruits of my labor starting to show. So I appreciate that.
Thanks for letting us be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, we'd be an honor to just chat with you. So
100% feel the same way, guys, and absolutely we'll get you guys back on at some point with music on the way. We will 100% do that. I mean, I'm open to having any one of you on. I could have Shannon on by himself if he wants, Tony if he wants to come hang out, any of you. We'll chat for sure.
Cool, brother. Yeah.
Thanks, Will.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thanks, Will.
We love you guys. Face to face. Thank you if you're watching.
April 11th.
Yeah.
April 11th.
Coming for you.
Look for this up on the YouTube later today. I'm going to get it uploaded with the band logo, and you can share it from the Liars Pacifist page straight away once this ends. And we'll do this again. Thanks for coming on. You guys have a blessed, amazing day, and take it easy.
Thanks, Will. Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.